What's up, guys? I've got a meeting today with someone from Discovery Channel about the Wheeler Dealers show, which, by the way, we start filming next week, which is super exciting. But very kindly, they've offered to come to me today because I've got such a busy few days ahead of me. So we're having lunch at the local pub. So that was really cool, nice meeting with Discovery to talk about this show, the Discovery, the Wheeler Dealers Dream Car Show, which I really am looking forward to. And thank you, I must say, thanks to everybody who sent amazing messages of good luck from you lot when I announced it on the channel. It seems unbelievable that we actually start filming next week, so really exciting stuff. Hello. Not sure the horses around here have seen electric skateboards that often. So for those of you interested in the Wheeler Dealers Dream Car project that we're about to start filming next week, as I say, the initial plan at the moment is for that to go to air, be broadcast early part of next year, so January or February of next year. And as soon as I've got any details on that, of course, I will let you know. Lots of you have asked where my old series, my Driving Wild series, which is the last series I did for Discovery, if you can see that anywhere. Now, I actually asked that today in the meeting. As it stands, I don't think there is an on-demand service that has that available here in the UK. Maybe in the States, but I'm not sure. Perhaps you can tell me. Search on the Discovery site for that. They are building some kind of on-demand platform at the moment, which is in the early phases. So at some point, I'm sure that will be available. And it may even get rerun at some point, depending on the success of the new show. So I hope so, because it was a great series. There's loads of clips on YouTube if you want to see little bits and pieces of it, but it's called Driving Wild. It was amazing fun to make. I've talked about it before, so I won't go on about it here. But yeah, really looking forward to the new Discovery show. Looking forward to working with Mike Brewer. And I think the whole thing's going to just be a lot of fun to make. So I'll try and keep you updated throughout that process as much as I can, and as much as I'm allowed to. So that's going to be cool. We're just dressing the workshop at the moment to make it look really good. I know that the production team are now well advanced with that, so I think it's going to look cool. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll get up there next Friday is the first day that I'll get to see it. For me, I've actually got... I'm speaking at an event in Marrakesh next week, and also another event straight after that in Geneva. So I've got a busy week of running around. But because I'm going to Marrakesh for work, I've managed to tag on a few days, with it being a bank holiday weekend, to bring the whole family out. So actually tomorrow we're heading off to Marrakesh for 3 or 4 days of hopefully just sun and relaxation, because after that there is no time in my schedule. I mean, as far as I can see down the line, so it's getting busy, which is a good problem to have, but yeah, it's crazy busy. So hopefully a really kind of quality time with the family. It'll be 5 out of the 6 of us, because my daughter, as many of you know, is off travelling the world. She's having the time of her life. She's done India, she's done Thailand now, she's just arrived today in Vietnam. So having just the most amazing time, and it's great to be able to follow along with her on social media and stuff, which years ago our parents just weren't able to do when we were away travelling. You kind of got a postcard if you were lucky, or the occasional phone call after a few months away, didn't they? So it's nice to be able to do that. They're having a great time, really enjoying it along with her, and jealous. Right, just a quick note on Zandvoort. There was more talk this week, wasn't there, about Zandvoort getting the Grand Prix, potentially taking the Grand Prix as early as next year, and perhaps replacing the Spanish Grand Prix, the Barcelona Grand Prix. What do we think? If you haven't seen the video that I did looking around Zandvoort, I did some laps. I went there to talk to some people at the circuit. It was a really interesting trip. It was my first time back at Zandvoort for nearly 20 years, which shows you how old I am and how long I've been doing this motor racing lark. But it hasn't changed an awful lot in that 20-year period. When I was last there, which was the Marlborough Masters in, well, it's 1999 in fact, so yeah. 20 years, so it hasn't changed an awful lot in that period of time. It's an amazing circuit, like it's proper old school. It's a brilliant, brilliant racetrack, but is it going to be able to provide good racing for a Grand Prix? And that is a really difficult question to answer. On the face of it, when you look around the circuit, it isn't, because it's very, very narrow. Overtaking at F1 speeds is going to be very difficult to do. But having said that, we also have some great events at some tight and twisty circuits. You know, Baku is a tight circuit. I know it's got this really long straight, but we've had some spectacular racing around Baku. Singapore and Monaco may not give you the best racing spectacle sometimes, but we all still tune in. We all still love the event. The drivers love tearing around those circuits, and maybe on that particular weekend the biggest spectacle maybe swings across to qualifying, because a qualifying lap around that track will be unbelievable, off the charts. I imagine as a driver that will be an incredible experience, putting the car on the absolute limit around a circuit like Zandvoort. It's got ups and downs, it's got banked corners, amazing place. And I can only begin to imagine what the atmosphere will be like with 100,000 Max Verstappen fans crammed into the sand dunes and any available bit of space overlooking that circuit. So don't write it off. Yeah, I know that there's lots wrong with it on paper. I know that it doesn't look like the perfect place to host a Grand Prix. But if it gets the final go-ahead, if it gets to sign on the dotted line and does take a place on the calendar, let's try and keep an open mind. Because, you know, as I say, Monaco, the race around Monaco is often rubbish, isn't it? Terrible Formula One racing around Monaco, yet a spectacular event. So you can imagine that other elements of that event might come to the fore, might become the biggest part of that event. The fact that we'll have seas of orange around the place. I imagine this amazing atmosphere. As I said, qualifying could become amazing and spectacular, and it's a proper old school circuit, so there's a lot to be said for that as well. So I think we've got to keep an open mind and let's see what happens. They haven't actually signed and announced the deal yet, although it looks more and more like it's going to happen. So I kind of like it. Let's keep an open mind though. Right, also, just finally, because I'm probably not going to get to upload a video tomorrow because, well, holidays and stuff. But I want this to be the discussion point that I leave you with, because this weekend is the inaugural race of the W Series. It comes from Hockenheim, and for those of you in the UK, this is free-to-air motorsport on almost kind of prime time Saturday afternoon slot on Channel 4. It's got a great lineup of presenters. David Coulthard, Ted Kravitz and Lee McKenzie will present the show. Claire Cottingham, who I work with on Formula E radio, will be, I think, lead commentator. So a really interesting lineup, actually, a really strong lineup of on-screen talent to present this show. And in terms of the drivers, there's a real mix of female drivers inside this championship. There's been a grueling selection process to get down to the final grid. It's racing in Formula 3 cars, which are proper racing cars. You know, lots of power, downforce. These are proper cars. It's on proper circuits as well. You know, the Hockenheim Ring, an amazing circuit. So what do you think is the question that I want to open up to the floor, if you like, is what do you think about this? And I think we briefly touched on this once before. I mean, I don't really want to get into the overall, is it right or is it wrong to have a female-only racing series? If you've got a comment on that, by all means, drop it in, because I know that kind of splits opinion. But will you be watching? Because with the lack of free-to-air Formula One, for lots of you that used to watch Formula One on Channel 4 and loved the broadcast, loved the production, loved the way they did things, it's the same team. It's Whisper Films. It's mostly the same team, certainly the same production company, that are going to be making this show. DC, Ted Kravitz, Lee McKenzie, they are all absolute stalwarts that most of you, I'm sure, have grown up to love presenting your Formula One coverage. So is that going to be enough to just draw you in and make you just switch on and have a look, see what it's like? Are you going to be able to get yourself to kind of know the characters of this new sport and follow them? It's only a 6-round series in this first season, but it's well backed. It's got some great people behind it. The TV side, like I've just mentioned. It's also got my old boss, Dave Ryan, as racing director, who runs a tight ship. Believe me, I can tell you that from experience. He's a great guy, vastly experienced, and will make this thing run slickly on the racing side, from his side. It's got some other well-known names that are tucked away in the background of this as well. So it's well backed, well funded, well put together, and I think has the potential to provide some great racing. You know, single make racing around a circuit like Hockenheim should be great. And as I said, free to air. So will you be watching? Will you be giving it a try, given it's the first one? And are you just pleased to have free to air racing back on Channel 4? Let me know your thoughts on it, because I think it's a really interesting discussion. I'll pick it up again, I'm sure, afterwards, because I may or may not get to actually watch it this weekend, but I'll certainly catch up with it afterwards as and when I can. So we will pick it up again, but please do let me know your thoughts on it, because it's a controversial subject, but I think also quite an interesting one for the scope of motorsport as a whole, but also, as I said, free-to-air broadcasting of what could end up being top-level motorsport from a UK perspective at least. So let me know your thoughts on anything else as well that I've discussed over the course of this video or this week. Thank you for all your interaction this week. It's been amazing as ever. I will try my hardest to get another Ask Elvis video out on Monday. I can't promise, because it just kind of depends how the weekend goes while I'm away. But please do fire in any questions on any of the subjects that I've covered over the course of this week. Formula 1, Formula E, W Series. I mean, absolutely anything you want. Send in a question, and if I can at all, if I have any possibility of doing it, I will make sure we get a video out on Monday, if possible. So thanks guys, have a great weekend, and I will catch up with you soon. Ta-da!